So have you ever wondered why my parents wouldn't let me go see Iron Maiden? Just play the beginning of that song again. Yeah. Hey, mom and dad, I'm going to go to a concert on Friday with the guys. Oh, you going to see? Just a rock group. Really? What do they play? Rock. Well, how about if you play me a song? And I dropped that one? Yeah. My dad would have been like, I better see you here Friday night, all night. Yeah. Iron Maiden. Good job. I said I want to hear some Iron Maiden today.
There you go.
Number of the Beast.
Nice.
82, I believe. It's a Double Shot Tuesday, and today, in honor of the class for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you can only send in requests at 50857 to Chris for Iron Maiden, Phil Collins, Billy Idol, New Order, Oasis, Sade, Luther Vandross, and Wu-Tang Clan. It's not a bad class for the Hall of Fame right there. It's actually pretty good.
Already had a few Iron Maiden requests, a few Phil Collins requests.
There we go. There we go.
We're off and running.
So congrats on the class for the Hall of Fame. And off we go. How you doing, Chris?
I was good up until you played some Carolina Mike.
Oh, stop it. Grow up. I'll play it again if you want.
You will not.
Anyway, so Chris, I brought back from my trip to Kansas flavored sunflower seeds for Chris, and he sent me a video. Yeah, well, I get a text, and I can see it's a video. And sometimes Chris and I will shoot videos back and forth of something we saw, and I'm like, okay, I'll get to it. And then because I was running, and got to a light and I had to wait, follow proper walking traffic rules, and I opened up, and you were sampling one of the flavored packages of sunflower seeds.
I was actually surprised that you weren't either grossed out or didn't have a smart comment about how many sunflower seeds I just took in.
Well, I knew that the disgusting slob in you were going to shove 800 sunflower seeds in your mouth. But this was the cinnamon
toast.
Cinnamon toast flavored sunflower seeds. And you said that
it tastes a lot like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay.
It was good. They did a real good job with the Cinnamon Toast.
Okay.
Did a real good job with the flavoring.
It was good.
Yeah.
You didn't pour that whole bag in your mouth, did you?
No. Just a quarter of it. Took me about 20 minutes to get through them all.
And you were inside your house?
Yes.
And you chew and swallow seed and everything?
No. No. I had a sandwich bag. I spit the shells into.
Okay.
I'm not an animal.
And the other is what? Lemon pepper?
Parmesan pepper.
Parmesan pepper. All right.
I'm a little.
Okay.
Little.
So scale of 1 to 5 seeds, the cinnamon.
I give it a 4.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nothing will top ranch flavored sunflower seeds. Ranch is the best.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that glad it works.
It's very good. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, let me know how today's sample will go.
I will.
On the program today, Matt Michelle's gotten by for his weekly visit. He's been out at UCS spring football practice. A lot of people asked a lot of questions about, one particular position that's kind of important, quarterback. Matt will share some thoughts on what he has observed or not. And some other college football news. Gators did their spring game. We'll get some thoughts on Matt and what's happening around the state and beyond. Josh Robbins, our good friend from The Athletic. Now that the Wizards are done, he becomes a Magic playoff reporter for them, and he has covered the Magic at times from a distance, at times in Orlando. We'll get his thoughts on how the Magic ended the season, the Boston game, the Desmond Bain minute thing, what lies ahead for this team as they get set for the play-in game against Philadelphia tomorrow. You got 2 play-in games going tonight. And we'll get to some stuff on the Magic in just a little bit. We'll do an on the mark, off the mark segment also coming up a little bit later in the program.
Someone texted in a question. They want to know if Genesis songs are allowed.
No.
Okay.
That sounded really cold, didn't it?
It did. But I understand why.
Why?
Because they're not going into the Hall of Fame. It's only a solo person from the group.
Right. But Genesis is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Phil Collins, as a solo artist, was not
Right.
until yesterday's sound. So it's got to be just Phil Collins.
There
There's
you go.
enough in the library there. Come on. It's like, I think, I don't know what the number is. I think Phil Collins has like 60 or 70 top 20 hits in his lifetime as an artist. Maybe I'm a little bit too high with that. I think it's 60 or 70 maybe charted Billboard song, which would be top 100, but it's up there. Did you do a Google search?
Just a quick Google search.
Phil Collins top 20 hits?
As a solo artist, Phil Collins has achieved, let me get through this, 7 U.S. Billboard Hot 100 number one singles,
Yeah.
3 UK number one singles, 13 consecutive U.S. top 10 hits, 50. That's not giving me what I want.
I'll find it. I think I read it. I think it's like 70 charted hits as a solo artist, which is incredible. Absolutely unbelievable numbers. Anyway, we got all that and a whole bunch more. So we get set for the Magic playing game tomorrow. I was talking briefly with Kelly on the bridge, and I want to get to this. We're going to do it again. And in this town, we've done it before. And it never ends well. It never ends well. I'll explain. But first, everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1 Forrest 1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great. Someone on the YouTube channel says if they got to put up with my joke on a daily basis, then I can put up with Carolina Mike. That's absolutely ridiculous.
First off, that's an outstanding listener.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
As Jim Rome would say, rack him. I don't know what the hell that means, but just rack that guy. That's a call of the day thus far. We're 18 minutes into the show. Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous. People clamor for my daily joke. No one's clamoring for Carolina Mike. Anyways, what is a tornado's favorite game to play?
I think I know this.
No, you don't.
I don't know, Chris. What is a tornado's favorite game to play?
I think you know it. Twister.
See, I knew it. And if I said Twister, he would have felt like the little kid who dropped the new lollipop and would have cried his eyes out.
I would have been very upset.
Right. But I know I know my role. I know my role. So you just I don't know, Chris. What is it? I know my role. Good setup guy knows the role to play. You don't come in and ruin it. You set him up for the home run. You throw the little meatball pitch right down there. Yeah. Nice job. Little Billy Idol here. Today's Double Shot Tuesday theme. These are artists or bands that are going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Billy Idol is getting in. Not Billie Eilish. Idol. Little White Wedding, 82.
Nice.
Phil Collins, Billy Idol, Iron Maiden, New Order, Oasis, Sade, Luther Vandross, or Wu-Tang. We got to get Wu-Tang on here.
Did you find the
So
Phil
I went
Collins?
looking, and
Did you find the thing that I found?
I saw what you found.
Yeah.
It's at least 50, but I don't know the exact number because the first thing I clicked on was combining the British charts, the American charts. That's well over 100. But anyway, I'll keep looking for it. Matt Michelle coming about 10:35. His weekly visit. Josh Robbins, 11 o'clock hour. I want to play something here for you, Chris. As we kind of pivot, if and I can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, wait, wrong. I did that on.
What are we doing?
That on purpose, just to tick off Chris.
You hate me.
I don't hate you. You can listen to this program on FM 96.9 AM 740 on the iHeart app, no matter where you're tuned in podcast form, or you go to get your podcast, type in the Beat of Sports on demand to get access to the entire show. You can watch the live stream right now on our X or Twitter, 96 on Game On, or on our YouTube channel.
Marc Daniels is shirtless. For the people that aren't on the stream.
Not true. Don't think that would drive numbers. I do look pretty good for a guy my age. Ain't got no problem standing in front of a mirror when this guy gets out of the shower. Just go to 96 in the Game Orlando, click on the logo and the live button. You can watch the stream. We'll do a show within the show a couple times today. The Magic tomorrow will play the Sixers. If they win, they're the 7th seed, and then we'll open up against Boston in the first round. If the Magic lose the Sixers, then they will come home and play the winner of the Charlotte-Miami game tonight, which is in Charlotte. And if they win that, then the 8th seed and play the Detroit Pistons. And we've done this throughout the season. The latest game against the Boston Celtics only added fuel to the fire about this season for the Magic, which is going to be a wasted year, barring some sort of incredible, shocking run in the playoffs. And it is going to be a fascinating offseason because of all the different scenarios and storylines that we're going to end up talking about for the next several months. Because if the Magic don't get out of the play-in, or they get bounced quickly in the first round of the playoffs, then we're going to go through something that if you've been in this town for a while, you've experienced. Like there's this thing, if you follow the market, the economy, that trends tell you stuff. The market's got to reset, and it happens every X number of years. It's like the Magic have to go through something every X number of years when it comes to the perceived franchise player, rebuild, coaching change. But when it comes to player, if you've been in this town for a while and you follow the Magic a while, and it does go back to Shaq and every other guy that was the face of the franchise, okay? And it's Shaq and Penny, then Shaq goes and there's Penny and Tracy McGrady and Dwight and whatever the Grant Hill thing was and all that stuff. It never ends well. It just never ends well. And you can feel it. Of all the things bubbling out there, first and foremost in everybody's mind is, well, it's about the coach. You know, and the way the season's gone, and as I said the last month plus, before you want to make an evaluation about the coach for the Magic, you have to decide who's making that decision. Who? Are they going to make a change when it comes to the president, GM, or whatever title we come up with these days? It starts there. Because that person would decide who the coach, and then What do you do with the makeup of this team? But the one guy that now is going to get the attention is who? It's going to be Paolo because of how the year's gone. And as talking with Kelly a little bit on the bridge, and we've gone throughout the years, just the year and everything about him. But the volume was turned up on criticism. The volume was all about let's go stat hunting. Let's go find the numbers that create the narrative of how bad of a year it's been. And as I've said, you could do this with anything. You go stat hunting to support the position that you want. Okay? And I was scrolling last night, and here comes something that somebody put out. Goes, well, inside the paint, he's the worst of the NBA of guys with starting minutes and everything. Okay. Well, what are you going to do with that? I'll go stat hunting myself, for crying out loud. Worst 25, 26 shooters in the NBA. Points in the paint and what are thought to be the easier shots of the NBA. Catch and shoot threes, free throws, long twos, all that stuff. Pull up jump shots, everything. Who's fifth worst in the NBA? Giannis. Well, where's Paolo on the list? Nowhere in the top 30 or 40 or 50. You stat on all you want, but there's a narrative that's out there. And as I was telling with Kelly, watch body language. He hasn't had fun. Is he to blame for some stuff? Of course he is. Was he not in the best shape when the year started? Probably not. Was he bothered because of injuries around him? Who wouldn't? Does he like his coach? I don't know. Doesn't look like he does. Does he feel like he's not being used properly? Probably. So before everybody thinks, well, let's go make a deal. I'm in the group. You don't trade that. By the way, 10 o'clock hour, WY, Jim Orlando, WJR, HD2, Cocoa Beach. And we can do this all day with the numbers. He's career best in field goal percentage. He's best in this. He's not good in that per 100 possessions. 100 possessions, his numbers. We can do this all day. Just watch basketball. Just forget the analytics. You try to figure out how to maximize that. What you should conclude by now is he's never going to be a good three-point shooter. He's never going to be a great outside shooter. But, man, maybe, just maybe, you got to figure out how to utilize his strengths. You got to build some things that make him be a downhill guy to the basket. You got to make teams go, I don't want to defend that. Maybe it is all in coaching. Maybe he needs somebody that says, hey, he hasn't been used properly. This is how he needs to be used. Maybe the pieces are, but we're not going to do this, are we? Because there's a national narrative out there that there's no shortage of opinions that will tell you otherwise. Ryan Russillo's podcast with Frank Isola on the Magic. Here's a little clip of this one.
With the situation with Giannis, if you were Orlando, would you ever roll the dice? Could you do some kind of deal? Maybe Paolo Banchero and Jalen Suggs for Giannis? But I wonder if something like that could be in play because I'm just not so sure those two guys can play together, Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero.
I would jump at that if I were Milwaukee because I think it's by far the best talent that you'd be getting back, even with everybody being down on Paolo. And as much as I like defend Paolo, there's just stuff, even in that game, I can't defend. Not getting back on that Garza fast break. There's just little effort stuff with him. And when I think about the Giannis market, even with Suggs' injury, if I'm Milwaukee, I don't even have to check with ownership on that. I go, are you serious? Like I can get, because I still believe that Paolo's far too young and has been so good and so skilled that all of a sudden it's just now he's this terrible, like, inefficient guy.
I agree with you on him from this standpoint. He's still really young, but it sounds like something's going to happen there. If they don't get out of the first round, I mean, it's going to be tough. So I think for Orlando, when you look at them on paper, to your point, it looks like they should be a really good team, but it's something just doesn't work. And again, Wagner being out for most of the season was big.
They are the most disappointing team in the NBA. I don't even know what else would be in the conversation. They're a mess.
Yeah. I mean, they are. And that doesn't represent the entire national opinion. By the way, it doesn't matter. I mean, you are what the image is. And there are a lot of national NBA people that will look at Orlando and say they underachieved because everybody thought, hey, they're going to be a top 4 seed in the East. We all assumed health, and it didn't happen. And you get tired sometimes of hearing the number. But this year it was 21. What is 21? Number of games played by Paolo and Franz. When you go, I don't think they can play together. How the hell do you know? How do you know? Then you want to throw in the Suggs stuff, and it's like 200 minutes the whole year. But the problem is the assumption of health can no longer be applied to the Magic. But, and by the way, you can't straight up do the number. You can't straight up make that deal, by the way, of those two guys for Giannis. You got to have some other pieces involved to make that stuff happen. But do you not look at all? Of course you do. Of course you do. Whoever's going to be in charge of this team, and by the way, Giannis will turn 32 this December. 32. Chris is that old.
In terms of basketball age, yeah, you're getting up there.
Okay, this is his 13th season in the NBA. Now this year, 36 games, and it's weird because he wants to play and they have not wanted him to play. And going back, meaning last year and then 2 years ago, 67, 73, 63, 67, 61, 63 games played. Okay? I'm not telling you that I won't gauge a market because, again, you have to. You have to. I'm not in the I'm out on Paolo. I just think long and hard before I trade what I still think is high-level talent that needs some things. This is just me, my weak amateur basketball eye. Okay? My opinion. I think he wasn't in the best shape when the year started. I think he's been frustrated by the injuries around him. He understands, even though he's young, every year that you're not getting better is a wasted year. I don't know if he has a good relationship. I don't think he does with this coach. Not that he doesn't respect the person as a man. I think he just feels like we don't run good stuff. I'm convinced he's never going to be a great outside shooter. It doesn't mean you can't be an elite player in the NBA. Not everybody needs to be shooting great from the three-point line. I don't think it's a smart possession where it leads to that. You can take open threes. You can get better at it, but he's a better downhill player. I don't think they run good things to him a lot. Whoever's going to coach this team next year, if he's going to be on the roster, has to figure out a better way to get the maximum effort out of him. His part is to be in the best possible shape, in the right mindset that you want to be better and to be better to help your team, and a coaching system that is going to maximize what his strengths are, which is going to have to include an evaluation of what's the point guard's role in this basketball team going to be? How do we utilize Franz and Paolo together if you're planning on keeping both of them? That's all part of the evaluation. He's going to want to know that, as he should. He's got to get better at his stuff, but it ain't bad. I mean, again, we can stat pick all day long and go, let me find 5 things that weren't good. And then he can find 5 things that were good. And then he can find 5 things that were good, considering at times who was playing around him. It is fair to say that the offensive system for the Magic needs an overhaul. It isn't good. And this team still cannot find consistent outside shooting. I don't care now what they gave up in the Desmond Bane trade because they did the deal. They're not getting the draft picks back. Bane played all 82 games. We learned the importance of the last one. And was a very productive, positive player for the Magic and can be a very productive, positive player for them. So forget what they gave up because the deal's already done. But it has to be what is around him. And I'm not in that group that goes, you know what? Doesn't care, bust, he's out of shape, and so forth. Sorry, there's too much good there to go, I'm out. I don't need it. I don't like it. Yeah, but what about Giannis? I got to be honest. I got to be honest, Giannis. I don't know what you'd get. Because here's the thing that I would wonder about Giannis in any deal. Where does he really want to go? Where does he really want to go? And this isn't a criticism of a town that I've lived in for almost 40 years. I don't know if this is appealing to him. Chris, would you agree that there's some guys in the NBA And he's won a title. He's perceived, he's a Hall of Fame player, right? It's about where I want to live.
Yeah.
And I love living here. I've chosen to live here for almost 4 decades. I don't know. But I want him to want to play, not necessarily for the city that he lives in, because that's a false view that anybody has. But does he find Miami appealing more than Orlando because it's Miami and Pat Riley and all that stuff? Does he still want to kick the tires on the Knicks, who are a little bit hesitant to make a deal? I mean, is he more attracted to an idea like Miami or New York or Houston or something like that than Orlando? And then the age thing, that doesn't bother me. The number of years bothers me. Would it be a 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th year at the money that he's going to need? You know, and then what I got to give up? I always take the call. You always take the call. But I'm not in the group that goes, I'm out on the other guy. Well, you don't want to coddle him. I don't want to coddle him. But I need him happy. I need him to like who he plays for. I need him to be comfortable in the system that he plays in. I need guys to stay healthy, which leads me to this. Do you know what the Dallas Mavericks just did? They blew out everybody on the medical side for the second time in 3 years. And you know why? Not because I'm guessing they acknowledge too many guys were hurt. Now, I'm not telling the Magic what to do, but it can be done. Dallas just did it twice in 3 years. What are we doing? We're blowing everybody out. Why? They're always hurt. We need guys to play. Yeah, but injuries happen. Maybe we got a problem, though. I'm reading this during the Athletic. One of the biggest things they did is look at the number of games missed by guys and why it took so long to get guys back. Just saying. So get set, because if this ends and nobody wants it, get lucky. Win tomorrow. Or as some people say, no, lose tomorrow, then beat the Heat Hornets winner, and then you get the Pistons. Yeah. Maybe Desmond Bain will play 5 minutes tomorrow because we're resting him for the Friday playing game. Maybe we could do that, And then, hey, take a chance in a 7-game series. But if it doesn't go that way, this is going to be a fascinating, quick start, okay? If you're making a change, I would hope that the ownership of this team now, not like, no, we let the season play itself out, then we sit down and we evaluate. That's terrible business. It's horrendous business if that's the mindset. You better be thinking now, if I'm going to make a change, where am I making a change? And if you say, hey, I let my basketball people decide, then you decide who you want to run the team. If it's the same guy, then you make that decision. And then that person has to decide, am I keeping the coach? If not, what am I doing? And what am I doing in evaluating this team? You don't put the film on. We don't do film anymore, but you don't put the video on 2 days after the season ends because we've cooled down. You better have identified what you believe are problems that need to be addressed. Now, you make a run and get to the NBA Finals, you can say, wow, that was a waste of 2 months. Fine. But if not, life comes at you fast. Because even though it's April now, you're going to get to July quickly. And if you're going to make a change at some positions, you want to be ready for it. But that thing can be really, really good. I think that thing needs to have his strengths maximized. And he's got to get better, no question. But I'm not ready to sell all stock on that. But who's making that decision? Matt Michelle, about 20 minutes. A couple of football things I want to throw by Chris because he needs his daily football fix. We'll do that next. For the Wu-Tang Clan.
There you go. Ask, and the listeners deliver.
It's Double Shot Tuesday today, and only songs of artists that are headed into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The class for 26, Phil Collins, Billy Idol, Iron Maiden, New Order, Oasis, Sade, Luther Vandross, and Wu-Tang Clan. 50857 on the text line for Double Shot Tuesday today. Good selection of music thus far.
So far.
Audience is delivered, so can't complain about that. Matt Michelle coming up in just a little bit. You can catch the live stream of the show. Do a show within the show coming up. Next up break here. Chris has his Fire Jerry hat on today.
That I do.
Counting down to the draft.
9 days.
Yeah.
9 days.
Fired up, huh?
Fired up.
Doing your own mock draft.
Do it every
Keeping
day
your
on Pro
daughter up
Football
late at
Network.
night, showing her different mock draft breakdowns, everything.
Yeah, showing her all the safeties and corners and linebackers and edge rushers that the Cowboys could get. That's right.
Can I play a clip here?
Yes.
I kind of get what he's saying, but man, this is arrogant.
Oh boy,
isn't it? This isn't new. This has been up for a couple of days. This is Ryan Day, the Ohio State football coach. Okay, here.
Saw this.
Board at Ohio State, there's an expectation when you come here. But I think it's just across the board at Ohio State. There's an expectation when you come here, you're coming to be a first or second rounder, regardless of your position. And that's it. Just like, if we don't win games and championships, they're going to find a new coach. Well, if you're not a first or second rounder, then this probably isn't the right place for you. And
that's not wrong. I don't have any issue with it.
What's not wrong?
His approach.
Of what?
What he said. You go to Ohio State expecting to be a first, second round pick.
So if you don't, who's to blame?
It'd be on the player.
Oh, it's just on the player.
Again, what he's saying is you go to Ohio State, you, as the player, you're expecting to be a first, second round pick. So that means you got to put in the work.
Well, wait. I'm assuming that you only take first or second round picks in your projection of their talent. Am I correct?
Yeah, I guess you can look at it.
Okay. And while the Buckeyes will be well represented early Thursday night next week.
Yes.
Okay. It's also, it's coach talk. Because you know what's not going to happen? The majority of their roster will not get drafted.
No.
Now they get a bunch of guys that do get drafted. They're going to be really good players, but it's a little bit arrogant here. You could say, hey, our goal is to develop guys to try to get as many first and second round picks because that's what we hope to do by developing players at Ohio State. A lot of this is coach talk. He's on a podcast. The guy doing the Q&A's kissing his butt like, yeah.
But you're also not going to have every single one of your players go in the top 2 rounds or top 3 or top 4 or top 5.
Not what he told me.
Not.
But I think it's just across the board at Ohio State. There's an expectation when you come here, you're coming to be
taking this too literal.
A first or second rounder. Regardless.
Of course I'm taking it too literal. Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with what he said.
There isn't because it's coach speak. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a little arrogant.
It feels like all these top coaches in some way, shape, or form have some arrogance to them.
Chris, I actually don't think we're arguing other than me thinking it's arrogant. You're like, well, it's more about coach speak. It is coach speak. It's just a little bit arrogant. And if you want to, bring the actual numbers, and Ohio State gets a ton of guys drafted. Not everybody's a first or second round pick. So the guy that goes in the 5th round goes, hey, Day, what happened?
Well, I mean, don't we want people that we talk to, whether it's an athlete or a coach, to not be robotic? In that, well, you told me that why people don't like Scotty Scheffler is because he's too robotic.
Oh, I think this is robotic, though. I think it is robotic. He's
an arrogant robot.
Oh, I think coaches like him are constantly selling. They're always not recruiting high school kids. They're always recruiting for like the poor. Like, hey, you want to be a first, second round pick? You come to Ohio State. He's giving what is the business answer.
You are a salesman as a college coach.
Of course you are. I'm not quite sure we're arguing. I just think it's arrogant. You don't. Yeah. I mean, he gave his answer. If you don't win championships, then they're going to find a new coach. Yeah, he found that out.
Yeah.
After a bad loss to his rival, they got hot and won the championship. Otherwise, he may have been out as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no arguing that.
No.
Yeah. Just like I was talking to a Gator fan slash decent sized donor.
Okay.
Okay, Gator fan, decent sized donor. Okay, I'm going to tell Chris in his ear what's a decent donor. Okay, per year.
Okay.
It's a pretty good number, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good number.
Yep.
He was at Florida spring game,
Mhm.
and he had also gone to maybe one or two practices because of his access, right?
Mhm.
And I get it. Who doesn't like a fresh, nice, cool glass of Kool-Aid, right? I mean, who doesn't like it? He crashes through the fence and everything. He's like, hey, Kool-Aid, right? And they mix it in, loaded with sugar. You drink it on a hot day. You're out playing with your friends, You stick your face in there. You get the red mustache on your face and everything. Who doesn't like a good cold glass of Kool-Aid, right? My mom may have been more into Tang. But anyway,
Wu-Tang.
uh, He's like, I'm telling you, man, it's just a totally different culture at Florida right now. And I said, oh, I'm going to take the bait. Tell me more. He's like, just everything's better. The discipline on the sideline, they're locked in. The coaches are locked in. And I said, yeah. What else? He's like, they're getting plays in and out quickly. I said, during a spring game? He's like, yeah. I said, more. He goes, Summerall's just different, man. Like, this guy is just different. I'm like, keep drinking it, man. Keep drinking it. And I said, he may be different. And I go, you do know that I heard this conversation from you and Napier. No. Wasn't the same. I said, yeah, it was. You were telling me, Saban disciple, look what he did at Louisiana. Your exact inflection. Look what he did at Louisiana. And he's like, I don't think I was as fired up as this guy. Which then I said, because I can need it. I go, did you give more? He goes, yeah. He goes, I was at, one of those meetings and his speech sold me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. Now, I will say he hated the McElwain hire. He did say, I'm not giving anything to this guy. That's not happening. I'm not giving this guy anything. Maybe he was right there, but yeah, he Kool-Aid, mix it up, drink it, go get some more. Red mustache, everything on the
Tell
face.
me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Oh, I did.
Tell me more.
And he knew where I was going to.
Openly mocking him.
Wasn't mocking. It's just every fan base goes through that honeymoon period. And maybe Summerall's going to be the next Urban Meyer, minus the off the field stuff, but in wins and losses. But it's like they're getting the plays in and out. I said, a spring game? Yeah.
You'd hope so.
I was like, I'm locked in now. You kidding me?
That's great.
I said, which of the two quarterbacks stood out? They're both. I'd be happy with either. Uh-huh. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Sure.
Then I had the eyewitness account of, listen, when your brand's hot, you ride it. You ride it, man. And right now, Miami's brand is hot. And Mario Cristobal, the reputation was never in question about recruiting. Never, right? Never in question about recruiting. It was always about the X and O's, everything. But they had, this past weekend, they brought in the elite youth football kids. Okay? And all lined up right in the sideline. They knew when to send Malachi Tony over. And he does the handshake and everything and taking pictures. And when you're hot, you're hot. You sell it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because 90% of those kids want to be the next Malachi Tony.
Mm-hmm.
That's working a brand, man, okay? And I'm not saying Florida, Miami's in a better place right now. But you know what? That's hot buzz versus, hey, they're getting the plays in quickly on the sideline of a spring game. I would always get that after a Gator lost from this guy. I'd be like, how many times are we going to special teams and can't get a play on the sideline? Of course, you know what my response was this past year? I'm watching UCF football do the same thing.
Yeah.
Out of a timeout.
Oh, man.
Matt Michelle joins us next.
And we're on.
We are?
We're on.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Kool-Aid.
Do you even know? Have you ever had Kool-Aid in your life?
Of course I have. I'm not that young.
How about High C? You know what High C is?
Oh, my, yes.
You do?
Yes. Good Lord.
Okay. Well,
I know what Tang is too.
Yeah, we were. I said on radio about Tang. We were big High C.
I see fruit punch.
Now, my mom and how I used to have I see the can opener on the side. You do it twice on the side and you pour it out. And sometimes the High C big can had like that rust around the top of it, which probably wasn't very healthy for you.
Kid did not drink from a can.
You didn't?
Pouch.
Well, no. I mean, a pouch?
Yeah.
Oh,
like the Capri Suns?
Yeah. See, this is where the age difference comes into play. I want you to picture, like the can that like yams comes in.
Oh God.
Right. So I want you to picture that with this sugar-filled orange mixture, and you take a can opener and you open up like each side at like 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock.
Mhm.
That's how you pour it out, and you pour it out, and sometimes the top of that big can, a little rust on it and so forth.
That's protein.
A few chemicals in your body and everything. We didn't mix.
Made
stuff
you
up.
tougher.
Yeah. Now, Hawaiian Punch.
Love Hawaiian Punch.
Yeah.
Every juice, like in a Hawaiian Punch, it was always like a red flavor.
Yeah.
Strawberry.
We did orange High C a lot, and then did get the packets of.
Actually, wasn't High C in like the almost like the orange juice looking containers?
They did shift to that, but it used to be.
Yeah, that's where I drink it from.
Yeah.
Did you ever do Lunchables?
Okay, not in school because I don't think they're around, but in college on a budget.
Yeah.
You're damn right. And then having kids, there's nothing like, and you're going to go through this. There's nothing like when you open up a Lunchable for your kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll do one slice of turkey and a half cookie and be done. And you're like, yes, like a snack for me. You do the cheese, the crackers, the turkey, and she's left at least a cookie for you. And you're like, perfect snack. You almost like telling your kid, are you done? Like, Dad, I just had 2 bites of turkey. You look stuffed. Don't want to overeat, we're going to have dinner's in 6 hours. I've got those dinosaur chicken tenders for you that I'm going to make 10 if you eat 2. I used to do that all the time, my kids. All the time. I have the box of like the dinosaur chicken nuggets, right? And it's like a box of 30. And my wife's thinking, why don't you make some for the kids? And she made like 4 per kid. And I'd make the whole tray of 30. And she'd be like, why'd you do that? I don't know what they're going to eat. They eat like 2. And you're sitting there, cleaning up all the toys, everything. It's like 10:40 at night. They're ice cold. And you're like, you know what? Looks good. Just pure rubber. There's like 0 chicken in it. I don't even know what it is. Yak or something. And you're like, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Looks good. Yeah. You'll get to that stage.
I'm looking forward to the days when I take my daughter to the beach.
Yeah.
And we got some. Hell, she'll have her own lunch. I'll bring my own Lunchable too.
I do not knock Lunchables.
I love me some Lunchables.
Yeah, do not knock it.
The cheese, or not the cheese, but like the pepperoni pizza one.
You get that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. You're going to get to that point too of the microwave dinners,
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to hope your kid doesn't eat several portions over there, You don't want the brownie, do you? Oh, no, it's not good for you and so forth because you want the warm brownie that's been cooking in there and so forth. Yeah.
My daughter, she eats like, my wife gives her like broccoli and cauliflower.
Yeah, Chris hates the fact his daughter's eating healthy at a young age.
Good for her. She can have all the veggies.
Yeah.
Because that's less for me.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to eat anyways.
Yeah, she's not, but she's not at the stage where she eats a Lunchable, does she?
No.
Yeah, you're not there yet, but
no.
Yeah, every once in a while, I will go by the frozen food section and just have memories and just remember. Now, a lot of that stuff they don't even sell anymore that my kids used to eat.
Did you ever do pizza rolls with your kids?
Yeah. Or the Tostinos, whatever. Yeah, That's another one too. My wife would be like, put 3 or 4 in. The whole box. Why'd you do that? I don't know. Maybe they're hungry. And then you just dive in, because again, your beginning experiences, when you got to clean up, 3 rooms and laundry and so forth, you're just grabbing stuff. You don't care how cold. Honey, it's been sitting there for 2 days. It's fine. That chicken nugget is from Saturday. Reheat, put enough sauce on it and everything. It
100%.
Yeah.
All right, I need to call Matt.
All right. This is the stretch of the hit parade for Phil Collins, like bigger than the Macy's parade of just nonstop hits. Double Shot Tuesday. These are songs by artists or bands that are going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Phil Collins, Genesis is in, but now Phil Collins is a solo artist. Let's get to Matt and Michelle.
This segment is presented by Bowegan's Beer Company.
Green inside.
Let's tackle the latest news from UCF and around the world of college football with the Orlando Sentinel's very own Matt Marshall.
Give him the Heisman now.
Hit up Matt on Twitter at OS Matt Marshall.
We love talking college sports with Matt Marshall. We begin first, though, Matt, with a very important question. Rank the following in order of choice, and maybe you have had none of these, but Kool-Aid, Hawaiian Punch, Capri Sun, or High C?
I would say, oh man, that's a tough one. Kool-Aid's got to be probably 1 for me.
Okay.
And then what was the second one? High C. Was it High C you said?
High C, Hawaiian Punch, and Capri Sun.
Hawaiian Punch. When I was a kid, that's what we drank, was Hawaiian Punch. So I wasn't a big High C. I think that came later. And then, Mom always had packets of that laying around for us because, I had friends coming over all the time. It was a cheap way to kind of, get us something to drink. So those are more. The other ones are probably towards the end.
Yeah, I was telling Chris, you've not lived until you've had a Kool-Aid or Hawaiian Punch red mustache on your face, because you went all in.
Hawaiian Punch used to come in a can. You remember?
Yeah, of course. A
can. You have to open up the can. Yeah. It was just like red sugar juice. That was like
yeah. These kids in these safety pouches with a straw have no idea about the ability of taking a sliced can with a sharp edge to your face to try to drink a sugar-filled beverage. They have no idea at all. All right, let's get to this. You're at UCF practice. The biggest story has been about Alonzo Barnett and practicing, not practicing. Scott Frost was asked, and he gave an answer to some questions. From the times that you're able to be at practice and see and people that you talk to, should a Knight fan be concerned, or is this, stuff that they knew that they were going to work on from past play, and the object is to get him healthy at some point? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I think as a fan, wouldn't be concerned just yet. I mean, obviously, you sign your starting quarterback in Alonzo, you think he's going to be the guy, and he hasn't been on the practice field at least the times that we've been able to watch. Remember, that's like about 15 to 20 minutes at the start of practice, but he has shown up after we've gone and participated a little bit, but it's very limited. I mean, Scott has told us that several times that they are doing this out of caution, because they want to make sure that, he's 100% healthy and ready to go. They still won't tell us what exactly is going on. We assume it's some sort of medical procedure maybe he's had. Again, you're not going to speculate at this point, but nothing that he seems very concerned with. He says it's very minor and basically told us that, they're just doing this out of abundance of caution. He's a guy who's played a lot of snaps and they feel like can go out there and be ready to go, when they need him to in the fall camp. So at this point, again, I get why fans are kind of nervous, especially after the history of UCF and its quarterback room. But at this point, I'm not concerned. Now, if we don't talk to Alonzo, after spring camp or through spring camp, then I might be a little bit of concern that they're trying, that there may be something bigger. But so far, just talking with people around the program, there doesn't seem to be that kind of an issue. It doesn't seem to be that kind of a big concern.
The rest of spring in some other areas, and Scott and some of his position coaches have talked. Everybody's fired up in the spring. Everybody loves the effort, energy, and all sorts of stuff. But what else has stood out to you about either some new players, new positions, or returning guys that you feel like UCF should feel good about?
Well, I think what we looked at is that, and Scott's talked about this, is that they purposely went out and brought in a lot more experienced players, with the transfer portal, and you could see that on the field. They're not going through stopping and starting drills because guys aren't up to speed like they were a little bit last year, or you're seeing some guys maybe not being able to keep up or having their hands on their hips and looking, spent. You're seeing more guys who are in, focused and going around. Again, 15, 20 minutes early part of practice that we're seeing, that's kind of what the impression you get. I thought that the offensive line has looked really good. They've got a lot of guys who are coming back. Preston Cushman, coming back as the right tackle. They've got a lot of guys who haven't played here at UCF, but they're excited about. I think the offensive line is going to be one to keep an eye on. I think the running back room is going to be really interesting. We talked to Duke Watson the other day. He's a running back that came in from Louisville. We talked, you got Landon Chambers coming in to help out. Taven Flint coming back, after an injury last year. Adea Gaji, coming back. This is a group that has a lot of explosiveness, a lot of firepower. I think that will be a big, huge help for the offense moving forward. And then on the defensive side, again, this is a very experienced and veteran group. And you're seeing that so far on the practice field. And just talking to some of the players, how Ty Bartram, we spoke with the other day, he's the safety that came from Harvard, after spending a career at Harvard. He's really poised, the guy who really, I think, is going to be a huge help for UCF, the guy who was a captain for the Crimson last year, the guy who they feel like can really kind of play not just in the secondary, but also can help them out on special teams. So, guys who they feel like aren't going to need to have their hand held going through spring and fall camp to get ready for the season, guys who are going to be ready to understand what they need to do to be ready to go. I think that's going to be huge for them in year two.
I made the comment yesterday that for the people that are not comfortable with these non-Saturday games, it's give and take. If you want the money to play Power 4 football, then you're going to have to accept that. If you want to have better TV slots, you got to win consistently. I'm sure you've heard from fans counting the Thursday opening game and now the 2 Friday games. You got 3 home games that they're not going to do their Saturday tailgate. Your thoughts on the addition of the 2 Friday games now?
Yeah, I've always been a believer that I'm one of those people that says, listen, you get an opportunity to go out there and play on a limited, smaller window, and it really showcases your program and your team better. You get an opportunity to possibly be on Fox, let's say, on a Friday night, or FS, maybe FS1 or ESPN or whatever. You want to take that opportunity, and there's a limited window. There may only be 3 or 4 games going on a Friday night. So that gives you an opportunity to get out there and showcase yourself. And people are talking about UCF going into Saturday's game. I know fans don't like it because, again, you got to come home from work at 5. You can't tailgate most of the time. You come into the game, and then, you especially on a high school night, you've got high school football fans, having to decide whether they want to go to a college game or a high school game. And then you got recruits that don't necessarily are able to take part in that. But I think UCF understands that this is an opportunity for them to showcase themselves, in the Big 12 and have a national audience and not have to worry about maybe kind of getting lost on a Saturday, on a busy slate. So we talked to Scott about this on Saturday. He said, listen, he's excited about the opportunity. It doesn't matter. He wants to be able to play these games and showcase what they're able to do, and feels like it's going to end up helping the conference and the team as a whole moving forward.
I don't think people, and I'm calling college football fans not intelligent, but I don't think people understand spring games sometimes are designed to showcase players and position battles to give fans this level of excitement. I'm not saying that John Summerall rigged his spring game, but the Gators had a spring game. I don't know if either quarterback stood out to go Florida as a clear-cut leader. It appears that they do not. That doesn't mean a bad thing, but from what you've gathered, any thoughts as the Gators wrapped up their first spring with their new coach?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. It's funny, you get to a spring game, and especially when there's a lot of scoring and a lot of touchdowns, fans lose their mind and think this is going to be great. This is what's going to happen. We've been down that road many times with Florida. It's not exactly what happens, through the regular season. I think these are fancy to understand. These are just glorified, practices where they give opportunities for players to basically, showcase themselves a little bit, let loose a little. And I think that's exactly what we saw at Florida. Aaron Field had a chance to kind of go out there and showcase his arm. The quarterback race with Samuel Jones Jr., is something that they're still kind of working out and ironing out. We saw some really great throws. We saw some potentially, playmaking skill from some of their wide receivers. And the defense made some plays. But again, this is just a glorified scrimmage. I'm really waiting to see what happens when they get into, fall camp, when they get into that opportunity, to step on the field and actually play someone. Because again, you're talking about offense going against defense, ones versus ones, twos versus twos. I mean, I don't take a lot from it, but I did like what I saw a little bit. You like the enthusiasm, but I thought what I especially liked more than anything was John Summerall after the game basically saying, this isn't good enough. We're nowhere near where we need to be. We need to be better. A guy who's constantly pushing to say, we need to continue to grow and be better. And, we've got a long way to go before we're going to step on the field and win some games in the SEC. So I think that's encouraging to know that you don't just get wrapped up with the glitz and glamour of a spring game. You understand exactly what needs to happen over the next, 5 or 6 months.
Well, I'll ship because I chuckled because I saw, man, FSU has something to be worried about because Alabama's spring game quarterback numbers. I'm like, are we doing this? I mean, seriously? But let me go to Tallahassee where there was no spring game. Mike Norvell really shielded the media of a lot. And I think they also end camp with no clear-cut win at the quarterback position.
No, not yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that Mike maybe did a little bit on purpose. Maybe wanted to make sure that this competition goes through the summer, goes through the fall. I think that sometimes what can happen is a coach will name a starter coming out of spring, and then the rest of the backups maybe let loose on the gas a little bit. Even the starter does. Maybe take his foot off the gas, and then all of a sudden you get into fall camp and everyone's kind of aggressive. I think you want people to go out there and be aggressive, try to have opportunities to improve themselves, because maybe there's an opportunity to do that. I think that's what Mike's trying to do. At Florida State, he understands how important this season is for them. I mean, they have to come around. They have to find a way to turn things around. They had a bad year last year. Mike has got a huge contract. The buyout is massive. I think it's, we're talking $40-50 million. I think he understands that he's got to go out there and win some games if they're going to continue to have some success. So it's a challenge. And I think that he thinks he's got the right team when it comes to looking at the transfer portal and some of the guys he's brought back. But we'll see what happens when we get into fall. I think a lot of these guys can take a little more of a step moving forward.
Matt Michelle, who's at UCF practice, that's the noise in the background. We appreciate him taking his time, as he always does. Please follow Matt at OS Matt Michelle for his coverage on Extra Twitter. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
There's Matt at practice with that win.
I love it.
Horns and everything.
No hockey horn, though.
No. A football, that's actually kind of a cool thing to do. Guess the horn. Is that a hockey goal horn? Is that, spring football practice horn? Is that a car horn?
I think you could figure out what a car horn is.
Well, sounds like someone's in for a test coming up soon.
Oh boy.
By the way, for those that follow, for soccer news, Matt Crocker, he's the sporting director for USA Soccer. He's leaving to take a job in Saudi Arabia. He's leaving before the World Cup. Can we be in any more of a mess? Like you wait 30 years to get this event back on your own soil, and we're rolling into the World Cup like the Magic are playing at Boston 7 nights a week. I mean, what the hell? What the hell? Yeah. Like, he couldn't say, can I hang out to the end of the World Cup? Leave now. Whatever. All right, 11 o'clock hour. Josh Robbins, speaking of the Magic, will join us. We'll get his thoughts on the Magic season ended and what lies ahead and some other NBA notes. Still to come with the 11 o'clock hour kicks off with the news next.
Let's really do the news.
Yes. Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WY, Jim Orlando, WJR, HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando sports leader, Marc Daniels of Beat of Sports. Chris Vasquez is over there. The NBA play-in starts tonight. Magic play tomorrow in Philadelphia, but 7:30 tonight, Heat in Charlotte against the Hornets. It's a 10-9 matchup. You got a 7-10 matchup with the Blazers and, the 10-7 matchup. The Heat, 10-9. Mark, with it, 10-9. Heat at Charlotte. And then you got a 7-8 matchup of Portland and Phoenix. 2 games tomorrow, the Magic in Philadelphia, and then Golden State and the L.A. Clippers. Again, if the Magic win tomorrow in Philly, they're the 7th seed and get the Celtics. If they lose, then they play the winner of Charlotte and Miami for what would be the 8th seed. Magic in Philly coming up tomorrow. Josh Robbins, again, will talk basketball with us coming up in just a little bit. Last night, Chris, 9 different players had multi-home runs in Major League Baseball. 9.
One shy of the record.
Yeah. Aaron Judge, Mike Trout among them, and the Yankees wild 11-10 win over the Angels last night. So can I just deviate for a quick second?
Yep.
So the Yankee-Angel game is on. Okay, and it's been back and forth, the Yankees take the lead and then, Angels tie it and then Trout homers, okay? And my wife and I were discussing a little bit of wedding talk for our youngest, and we're about to close in on the year mark, and you think that's a year. No, it's quicker than you think. And she opens up her big notebook of contracts and everything, because I had a few questions, because Daddy's kind of the Excel spreadsheet and so forth, right? And she's doing nothing wrong, but she's talking, and I'm trying to watch after the home run puts the Angels up. I'm trying to watch as the Yankees get a guy on in the 9th and everything, and she's like, "You paying attention?" Yeah. The eyes are looking over at her and then quickly glancing away and so forth, and she's texting our youngest to answer a question and so forth, and Grisham homers to tie the game, but I can't celebrate because I'm supposed to be paying attention to her and everything, but I'm looking left at the home run and everything, and she's talking, and then they get a double, and I'm like, the whole 9th inning, I'm stuck because I got to listen to her, but I'm trying to watch. The volume's off because you can't have the volume on, and wild pitch, they win the game, and you're kind of like, yes, and you're like, yes, honey, of course. We can add 50 more people to the wedding, not a problem.
That is incredible restraint on your part. Because if I saw...
The veteran move. I'm just telling you, it's a veteran move.
If I saw, Atlanta Braves or a Dallas Cowboys game on and something like that happens, I'm immediately jumping up and I'm celebrating.
Yeah.
And I'd be in the doghouse. Why are you not listening to me?
I know. Well, it's a veteran move. When you're married almost 32 years, you're going to have to handle situations like that. Yeah. But then you're going to get, are you listening? Yes. And they have that look like you're not. And she knows that you're not.
What I just say.
Right. Well, you always got to remember key words.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is like, what did I just say? That we named the dog Cabbage? No? All right. Yeah. You're not listening. I am too. What did I just say? Flight to Lakeland? No? You just got to start guessing. Top selling team for merchandise in the NBA. What team with the most merchandise sold?
I still feel like it'd be the Lakers.
Knicks, Lakers, Celtics.
Yeah, nothing out of the
Lakers,
normal.
Celtics. Top selling jersey. What player?
Let's go Wemby.
He's 4th.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
4th.
I don't think I'm going to throw it out there, but I don't think it's right. SGA.
8th.
Wow. No love for the MVP.
Yeah, 8th.
Luka?
2nd.
Okay.
Now you
It still can't be LeBron.
5th.
Okay.
Now you're missing 1 and 3.
Not Steph.
1.
Really?
1.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jalen Brunson's 3. So it's
Okay.
Steph, Luka, Brunson, Victor Wembanyama, LeBron James, the top 5. Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, SGA, Cooper Flag 9th, Jokic 10. Durant 11, Tyrese Maxey 12, Devin Booker 13, Cade Cunningham 14, LaMelo Ball.
What's the highest Magic player?
I need to come and ask me that question.
I'm willing to bet it's Paolo Banchero. I guess he's gonna be in the 30s.
I'd have to
40s?
dig for the list here. I'd have to go find it for you. I would think, but for those that follow horse racing, me and the three other people, 2027, apparently the Preakness Stakes is going to move back a week. You've had the Kentucky Derby, and then history says 2 weeks later we come back and do the Preakness, 3 weeks to the Belmont. I have said, just because of how, just like we've talked in sports, we used to have 4-man pitching rotations. We have 5, sometimes 6. We have load management in other sports. Horse racing's been about load management as well. I think you get a better caliber of a Triple Crown if you race the first Saturday in May, June, and July. I'm not getting that, but the Preakness is going to move back a week. So you'll go 2 weeks between the Derby, Preakness, and the Belmont. I'm sorry, 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Derby, 3 weeks. Preakness, 3 weeks. Belmont. Will that make more horses compete in all three? Maybe a couple more. I don't know if it's going to, and there's some that shouldn't run, but the goal is to try to get more horses to race in all three as the purses have gone up as well. I prefer a month off between the two. But Alec Bohm, remember the story about him suing his family for misusing his money? He fired Scott Boras, dealing with the lawsuit, and he's claiming that it's his parents that moved him to signing with Boras. That the pitch made by Scott Boras, the family was more interested in the dollar sign than Bohm's comfort regarding the agent of choice.
Wow. That's so grimy.
I don't think this is going to go well. I don't think it's going to go well. The Dodgers are playing the Mets in Los Angeles. The two payrolls combined, $1.077 billion. That's not committed contracts. That's this year's payroll. Yeah, this year's payroll. How about that? Baseball, Matt Olson played his 799th consecutive game.
Who did?
Matt Olson for the Braves.
Yep.
Played his 799th consecutive games. We're not in
real Iron Man streak, Mikhail Bridges.
Yeah. He's just 1,633 games away of tying Cal Ripken Jr.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. Sure. Go with that.
You'd have to play what? 12 more years? 13 more years?
If he's playing every game, and we play 162, Chris, he's got 10 years.
Yeah.
Good luck. Playing tonight, the 2 games, Magic among the 2 games tomorrow. More basketball talk with Josh Robbins of The Athletic next. Do something with the song already. New order. Today's Double Shot Tuesday theme. These are groups or artists going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
How long can you bob your head?
They wouldn't get my vote. Good grief. Who's next? Tiffany? Let's talk a little basketball. Josh Robbins has been covering the NBA a long time. These days, the Wizards and the NBA for The Athletic. He's on X or Twitter, Joshua B. Robbins. And he joins us on the day that we're going to start these play-in games and get into the NBA playoffs. Good morning, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't wait for the postseason to start, actually.
I do want to get your thoughts. It was an interesting Sunday. We still had some things up for grabs regarding seedings. It was interesting about players that did play, not play, all sorts of stuff. But the Magic Celtic game drew the attention of a lot of people because of what was at stake for Orlando, how the game starts, who the Celtics played, who the Celtics did not play. It looked like Boston, the first quarter, was almost giving the Magic the game they wanted. The Magic had a lead of the half and then get outscored 42-20 and lose. Which was eye-popping. Then the Desmond Bain minutes to play, not to play, the answer given about 82 games and saving him and all sorts of stuff. I'm going to let you share your thoughts as to just what happened on Sunday and almost a microcosm of the Magic season, but your thoughts on that Celtic Magic game.
Yes, I watched that game closely because I'm going to be tracking the Magic, covering them in person from the start to finish of their postseason, however long it lasts. And I've been following the Magic very closely all season. Yeah, that was a disaster. That loss was an absolute disaster. Even if we account for the fact that Baylor Shireman, for moments there, looked like the living incarnation of Jerry West and Ray Allen. I mean, Ray Allen's still alive, but you see where I'm going with this. A disaster. You got to win that game. And losing that game sets them up for a very tough matchup in the first play-in tomorrow night. That's going to be a very difficult matchup for the Magic. And I would have to say the Sixers are favored. And as for Desmond Bain, well, they took that game for granted in terms of his minutes. And by the time they put him back in the game was not completely lost, but well on its way to being lost.
How does that happen, though? And again, I'm speculating here. I'm sorry. You can't take anything for granted knowing that if you win, what's at stake. I don't even know how that comes into thought. And I said this just, I blame everybody. I blame the head coach, assistant coach, all the analytic people, the 9 rows that sit behind the bench, the GM. You can't let that happen. You've got to look at Desmond Bain and say, hey, we might need you, and let's get a good lead, and maybe we rest you. But how do you even think that with what's at stake? How's that possible?
Well, it's not on Desmond Bain.
No.
How does it happen? Well, they thought that they would beat easily a 8-player Celtics team, which had no one that most fans and even some reporters would recognize. So they made a mistake. There's no question about that. That should have been the game they won going away. But in that sense, and you used the phrase correctly, it's emblematic of it's a microcosm of their entire season, where they went into the season, and I felt the same way, that they were going to be in the top half of the conference this year. And they and I and so many other observers mispredicted. And that game, they mispredicted how easy it would be to win, and they paid for it, which doesn't make it any better. And having said that, some of those shots that Shireman made, those were ridiculous. But still, you got to win the game, and you got to be up big before you sit Desmond.
I admit, it's premature because they haven't played tomorrow night's game. But I'm going to ask you this as someone, for the years that you cover the Magic and I've covered the NBA. An organization has to always be thinking about what lies ahead for them, even during a season going into an off season. The question about whether they keep Jamal Mosley or not, I would think this ownership and those in charge have given thought that if they're going to make a change, what they want to do. But I guess the question, and I would ask you, is who's going to make that decision? Are the Magic locked in that Jeff Weltman should return? And if they're going to make a change of coach, he's the one that makes that? Are they not bringing him back? And then who would be in charge and who makes that decision? Before we even get to the roster and wonder, do you break up this core? They have some other issues that need to be addressed if this season ends quickly in the next several days.
Yes, but even if they go to the first round and get eliminated, I don't think it changes the fact.
Well, I agree. Yeah, no, I understand.
That Jamal Mosley is going to be replaced. In my opinion, and all indications that I've seen, I think it's a foregone conclusion that he will be replaced. Could it change if they somehow get to the second round? And by the way, I'd like to get to discussing a potential first round series against the Pistons. But could it change? I suppose so, but I would, and assumptions are dangerous, but I'm operating under the expectation that they make a coaching change. And I do think that ownership would back Jeff Weltman on that. And I think this season calls for a coaching change, in part because if you're going to even entertain trading Paolo or Franz, and they're the two key people who they have to trade, you have to make sure that pairing does not work. And given that pairing has only played for one head coach, I think it would be a reckless move to trade one of those two now without seeing what a different coach, particularly an offensive-oriented coach, might be able to do with those two guys, with the caveat being, yes, they need to change the roster as well.
Okay, so I agree, and I said I do not want to trade that thing, and to me that thing is Paolo, who I think needs to be responsible for some of the things. Maybe he wasn't in the best shape. Maybe he knows he's got to get better, but I also think they need to use him in a better way. He's better going downhill. I don't need him taking outside shots, and I'd like to see a coach that says we got to change the system that's there. And that's not saying, hey, hopefully they'll be healthy next year. I just think he's got to be used in a better way. But you've covered this before. You've covered it in Orlando. When that player now is, well, should we trade him? And you've covered the league a while. You always got to be careful when you think about that, because I think he just needs a better system as opposed to let's get him out of here. But his body language stinks right now. To me, he's telling you that he doesn't like his coach. He doesn't like the system around him. It's not that he's blame-free, but I've seen this before. You've seen this before in this town.
Yes, but this is not the Dwight situation.
Oh, no.
But it's not just in Orlando. This is the way of the league, where the stars, and he is a star caliber player at least, they have an outsized influence on what happens. But I don't think you need, yes, and he's not blame-free. I mean, I know I'm starting and stopping all my thoughts. He's not blame-free, but it's probably time for a change because the team is not responding. And unfortunately, and it's not fair, and it's not fair. It's certainly not nice for me to say, there are a whole lot more good coaches than there are great or potentially great players. And it's a lot easier to change a coach than it is to trade away a potential star and replace that person.
Let me pivot.
That's the reality of how the NBA works.
Oh yeah, it's a star league that needs the right button push. Let me pivot because you said Magic have a tough game against Philly. I agree. Whether Joel Embiid plays or not, but if they lose, they get the winner of Charlotte Miami, which doesn't guarantee you a win. But it sounds like you think a matchup with the Pistons would not be the worst thing if they could get to that. But you don't throw tomorrow's game.
No, of course not, because they met. All right, so a lot of things here. I'm going to try and go quickly because I think we're pressed for time. Without Joel Embiid, the Sixers are better against the Magic than with Joel Embiid, because the Sixers have enough fast-paced guys, namely Maxey, namely Edgecombe, Oubre, even Paul George at his age, who can match or exceed the Magic in pace and then outplay the Magic at a high pace. So I'm not happy. If I were a Sixer fan, I would not be happy Joel Embiid is recovering from appendicitis, but I would for this game. him not playing gives the Sixers a better chance against the Magic tomorrow night than if he were healthy, in my opinion. Having said that, I think the Magic would have a more competitive series against the Detroit Pistons than the Boston Celtics. And I think the vast majority of league insiders, and by insiders, I mean people who actually work for teams, would agree. Because the Pistons do struggle as a long-range shooting team, and Cade Cunningham is nowhere near the rhythm he was when he was an MVP candidate. So that, if you play at a slow pace, and I think the Magic are better off against the Pistons at a slow pace than they would be against the Celtics, I think that they would certainly have a chance to get that series to 6 games. They would not be the favorite, but they could do it. And then finally, if they lose tomorrow night and they wind up playing the Charlotte Hornets in the play-in, well, the Charlotte Hornets just humiliated the Magic all season long.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if the Magic wind up hosting the Hornets on Friday night, the Hornets are the team that's most likely to win.
Let me pivot to a couple things before I let you go, and we'll hopefully talk with Josh throughout the playoffs if the Magic make that run, and even if they don't. You're part of a group with the Writers Association and other members of the media in the MVP vote, all this stuff for the end of season, 65-game rule. It was collectively bargained. Do you have a position today about that rule?
No position whatsoever. We don't, the writers, and I was the head of the Writers Association for 9 years. And as much as I think of myself, I had no role, and the Writers Association had absolutely no role in any of that. Even not only the 65-game rule, but whether the presence of a player as either an MVP or a Defensive Player of the Year or as an All-NBA team member, how that might affect their compensation, we had no role in that either.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think that they will change the rule again?
I think that's iffy because the league wants its star players to play, and 65 games, the league perceives, or at least seems to perceive, it's to the product's advantage to have the limit set at 65. There's going to be some limit. The league is comfortable with 65, and they're taking enough heat for tanking and player load management as it is, that I think that Adam Silver, while he's pretty flexible on any concerns the players have, this may be one of the few issues where he's willing to plant his feet solidly in the ground.
Can I end with this, and maybe over the summer we'll do a little bit longer on the tanking thing. I think whatever they decide, the hardcore NBA people are obsessed with these weird scenarios that no one understands. If your casual fan cannot understand something, that's bad for business. They've got to make it somewhat simple that people understand, even though the lottery now is somewhat confusing. But I get the tanking thing, but stop with this scenario equals this percentage and this, that. If the casual fan doesn't get it, that's not good for business.
Correct, but yes, I agree with you. Having said that, the mess that I've seen this last year is even worse for business. And that's coming from a writer who said that the team he covers, the Wizards, needed to tank. Yeah. And they did need to tank, by the way. They did the right thing for their long-term health of their franchise. Having said that, what they did and a whole bunch of other teams did throughout the season was a disaster for the NBA. I mean, I covered so many games this past year that were NBA games in name only. Never had anything to that degree, and I covered a lot of very bad tanking Magic teams during my time in Orlando, and I've never seen anything like this. And I'm an impartial observer, but if I had that kind of visceral reaction to the lack of quality of the product on the court, one can only imagine what someone who actually paid to attend a game felt. And I have the utmost empathy and sympathy for fans who actually paid money good money in a time of inflation to attend one of those games.
Josh going to cover the Magic, whether it's 2 games or maybe more. Please follow me on X or Twitter at Joshua B. Robbins for coverage not just of the Magic, but everything else in the NBA. Hopefully we'll talk again. Good catching up and travel safe.
My pleasure.
Josh Robbins, good insight in the Magic. Chris hated what he just said right there? The Wizards had to tank.
The Wizards needed to tank, and I'm glad they tanked. Everything about that statement.
I don't think Josh would argue, but I think what he would say is the current setup of the NBA, that's what they had to do. We're back with On the Mark, Off the Mark next. Today's theme, artists or bands head into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Luther Vandross is
That would be
in.
correct.
Sadly, passed years ago to not enjoy the honor. Woo! Man. What a singer. Let's get to On the Mark, Off the Mark.
It's a Tuesday staple on the beat of sports. On the Mark, Off the Mark. Presented by Bowegan's Beer Company. Bowegan's, recrafting perceptions.
Might have been the worst transition. On the Mark, Off the Mark.
All right. Kevin Seifert wrote a piece at ESPN regarding the NFL's usage of AI for their draft prep. In the article, he uses the example of Ohio State safety Caleb Downs and how he did not run the 40-yard dash at the combine, so draft evaluators don't really know his speed. They don't know how fast he really is. That's where the AI would come into play. Computer vision technology would analyze college film that would generate a speed rating, something that is comparable to the NFL Next Gen stats. You know my strong feelings on analytics. So would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that while it would be cool to see how fast someone can run, and as cool as AI could be, teams don't need to fall into the same dependency of AI as they already do with analytics?
Yeah, you're on the mark. Reason why you're on the mark is the dude's got film out there for 3 years.
Thank you.
So because you don't have a 40 time, unless you come across what might be an injury or a health concern, he's got 3 years of film in elite competition.
Like it makes no sense to me. All we want to do is just find more ways to go deeper and deeper into something that you don't really need to do a deep dive on.
Yeah, but AI can work. Like I said, do I look like Brad Pitt? He came back and said,
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
We don't need AI. From ESPN to CBS, Jonathan Jones wrote a piece talking about how the NFL should view what is happening.
I read that one.
What is happening in the NBA as, quote, instructive and a potential warning. Yeah. He points out that more games could see a greater gap between the haves and have-nots, which would then result in low leverage games and dilute the product. This being about the 18th game of an NFL season. Am I on the mark or off the mark for believing that the NFL is nowhere near suffering from what has been going on in the NBA for a long time?
I think you're on the mark. I read Jonathan's piece. It's pretty good. He also did a deep dive into how close games are, except the latter part of the season, although the numbers are a little bit skewed because that last game doesn't, even though, the percentage of NBA games versus one of 17, it's not even close. Okay, because it's one thing if teams shut guys down weeks 15, 16, 17, 18. That doesn't happen. You know, Josh Allen not playing in a game that doesn't impact the Bills being a 1 or 2 seed is far different than going, we're shutting him down post-Thanksgiving.
Right.
Because we want him healthy. So I don't think so. And by the way, I think we're closer to the 18-game schedule.
Yep.
And it may not happen initially, but I think it may evolve where you might see the roster expand. Maybe, you know, the two sides say we'll go to 56, which may not sound like a big jump of 53, but it is. Going, hey, adding an extra game, we'll agree, which means money out of the owners. But I don't watch a game right now in late December and go, man, the quality just stinks because these guys are hurt. I accept injuries happen. Some teams get hit with injuries more than others, but I'm not watching that.
I mean,
I don't watch teams in October go, we're shutting it down in the NFL. I don't.
Yeah, like guys try in the NFL, and even if a team is 3-13 heading into the last couple games of the season, they're jockeying with another team for the number 1 pick. You still see teams trying to win games. We saw the Giants cost themselves a number 1 pick.
Not cost. That's laying the foundation for championship football in years to come.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Colorado Buffaloes had their spring game on Saturday, and the stadium was about empty. Since Deion Sanders
loves this. It's an anti-Deion take.
Since Deion Sanders' arrival in 2023, attendance has dropped every year. In Deion's first year in 2023, Colorado had over 47,000 people show up to the spring game. This past Saturday, less than 18,000 were in attendance. Colorado decided to reward Deion with a 5-year, $54 million contract going through the 2029 season after going 9-4 in his second season. At the time, the contract made him the highest paid coach in the Big 12 and sixth highest in college football. In 3 seasons at Colorado, Deion is 16-21 as head coach. Am I on the mark or off the mark for believing that despite all the attention Deion has brought to the Buffaloes, they are regretting giving him that large contract and they wish he would have bolted for the NFL?
Probably correct. That
Wow.
several people in the school's administration, and it's a different athletic director, probably wish that they weren't as committed in dollars to Deion, and probably last off season wouldn't have minded if another opportunity came across.
If he's fired without cause, I believe it's $33 million,
I didn't look it up.
and they can't. They couldn't afford to fire him, could they?
No.
Yeah, it's one good season. One good season. You want to make him the highest paid coach in the Big 12. What are we doing?
Here's what have I said?
What are we doing?
I don't know what AD signs a coach to go, I'm hoping to play 500 football. You sign somebody expecting to win and be successful. When they have multiple years left in a contract, you don't go, well, here's a brand new deal. Why? Because he won. Well, did you hire him or her to lose? The answer is no. This is going to be an interesting year for Deion in Colorado. First for him, his buzz is worn off.
Yeah. His son's not there. Travis Hunter's not there.
And for them, they're not expected to be good this year in the Big 12. Forget nationally. They're not expected to be good in the Big 12. So that buzz is gone.
Yeah, one good season. You got guys who have left Colorado, then bashing the previous regime.
He has helped sell tickets. He has helped bring in donors. That now is going to begin to dry up because the results are the result.
So I guess they're stuck with him until 2029.
Nah, at some point that buyout will come down. But yeah,
I mean, got 3 years left, 2 years left. So we'll see. Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield is entering his final year of his contract. Could he be in line for a big score from Tampa? Bucs corner Jay Glazer, quote, obviously the quarterback is the highest paid position on the team, rightfully so. That means that it's going good. So if the quarterback's making top money, then your team is probably doing well and the quarterback is performing well. That's obviously a key component to success. That doesn't hurt at all to write that check. It's something that all teams do when you have good quarterbacks, end quote. Obviously, we've seen Baker Mayfield make some plays that ignite the team, and he has revived his career with the Tampa Bay Bucs. But would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that if Tampa and Glazer really wanted to keep Baker Mayfield, they would have given him an extension this offseason, regardless of how last season played out?
I mean, I guess I would agree with you. I think there's a small gamble here because his ability of leaving after next year is we think he likes it here. He has succeeded here. So we're going to gamble that we're not going to give him money that we don't want to pay guaranteed dollars to in years that we don't expect him to either be productive or a quarterback. And that's the risk that you take. Maybe Baker thinks I go, quote, ball out, and now I have leverage either here or someplace else. But I think you agree with me. Even if he has a good season for the Buccaneers and they don't want to sign him, he's not going to find a $55, $60 million offer for him next year.
Not 55, 60, but could he find a 50, 45, 50?
I don't know. Now we're getting into what I used to joke about. Is Dak Prescott worth 36 or 38 or 39 million? I don't know.
On the mark, off the mark.
Back to put a wrap on the Tuesday show next.
latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends. Ooh,
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Playing starts tonight. Big game up in Charlotte.
Party people, I got a question. You ready to show up and show out for your Charlotte Hornets as they enter the play-in?
What's wrong, Chris?
What are we doing?
What? Got a big game tonight. Charlotte, Miami playing. So Carolina Mike is back.
We don't need Carolina Mike.
Hmm.
We don't need it.
Oh,
Don't need it.
okay.
No
Forget it.
more. No more.
Forget it. All right.
Show up to the person next to you.
You want price gouging? Chris will love this. The World Cup, by the way. You want to take the train from New York's Penn Station to MetLife Stadium. If you did it today, it's $12.90. If you did it today. For the World Cup, it'll cost you over $100. Unbelievable. Man.
But
If
people will pay it.
you miss any of today's program and you listen to podcasts, go where you get your favorite podcast. Type of the Beat of Sports on demand. Subscribe. Download. Get the show available when you want to listen to it. You can always catch the video stream. Go to our YouTube page, 96 The Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button. You can watch back the show anytime you want. We thank those that hang out with us. Wednesday show tomorrow. A lot of hoops. Chris produced. Thanks, Chris. Have a good day.
You too, Mark.
Chris produced. I'm Marc Daniels. See you tomorrow for the Beat of Sports.